Good morning, everyone. This is probably going to be a couple of 3 videos to get done. I'm not sure how long, because I really don't know how to explain this. But I was asked, if I did not believe in astrology when I was younger, what convinced me that it's real and that it is telling the truth. I'm an avid researcher. And from my youth, I was really interested in language. This is how all this started for me. I wasn't raised in a household that had God in it. We didn't go to church. We didn't talk about it. It was goddamn and Jesus F. Christ. That's all I knew about God until the ice cream truck came around, giving us free snow cones and stuff, and taking us to the park to play softball on the weekends, and it was the church people, and that was their way of luring us into the church, and gave us this book, the Bible, which I love to read, so I was right on it. I've read it more than any other book I've ever read, and I loved it. I fell in love with the book. I really did. And then I went to church. They talked me into going to church. And when I got to church, what I was hearing at the pulpit was not what I had read in the books. I clearly understood that the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament was not the same God, and that it had been tampered with, and that it was talking about something very metaphoric, symbolic, esoteric, and you had to have ears to see and eyes to hear. That'll make sense before this series is over with, why I inverted that. Because it's the way things are done. The Bible, Bibble Babble, where the scribes scribbled the scriptures, we're even told that in the books. But I had a lot of questions, and I sought a lot of answers, and I went to a lot of different churches to try to find them. And nobody was telling me, could explain to me about what I was reading, but I was told astrology was bad. And I believed them to be sincere, that they actually believed that when they were telling me that this programming and these lies have been going on from generation to generation to generation, from age to age to age, for eons. But it's all about the clock in the heaven. So this is how it happened for me, starting with languages. As I delved through a culture's tongue, back to the inception of its alphabet and its sentence structure, I found the words were all related to their astrology. And I'm just going to pick and choose some stuff that I noticed. And I have more than one witness from different cultures around the world. I've tried to gather enough evidence that this was massive, it was worldwide, it still is, but those of us who sit in the pews don't have a clue what's going on behind the pulpit, the pull to the pit, and the guy is there to alter you. And alter means to change. Okay? So bear with me as we do this. I'm going to start with the Bible itself. And trust me, there are many verses in every book, Old and New Testament, the Quran, any religious book you can think of. It is encoded about astrology. And I hope you can learn to see that before it's through. Even in Genesis, before man was ever created in Genesis, the sun and the moon were given for signs, S-I-G-N-S, before seasons. First they're signs, and then they're seasons. And then Ecclesiastes tells us there's a time and a season for everything under the sun. Well, there's also a sign in a season for everything under the sun. Let's begin. Revelations 4. To me, this is a very old book. Some of the symbology can be dated, and you know what era something was written in by the story that it's telling. Whether it's the gods of earth, the gods of fire, the gods of water, or the gods of air, or the fight between the two of them at the changing of the ages. And that's what most of this is going to be about. This is what I noticed in putting this puzzle together. Revelations 4. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. That's how it was for me. A door just opened one day, and I realized what I was looking at. And the first voice which I heard was as it were a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter. Okay, so look up in the stars, and I'm going to show you what's fixing to come to pass. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven. A throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. One, not three, one. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne, in the sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats. And upon those seats I saw 24 elders sitting clothed in white raiment, and they had on their head crowns of gold. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal. And in the midst of the throne, round about the throne, were 4 beasts, or creatures, full of eyes before and behind. And the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth for ever and ever. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Psalm 19, which the heavens, which we just read, there's a throne, all right? Throne. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. Know the ledger. There are 2. All right? Why 24 elders? Because you have 12 houses of the moon, and then the sun goes through them. And they have 1 for each one. 12 and 12 is 24. The 7 spirits are the 7 planets that were known at this time. So we got a timeline going on here because of the 7 spirits of God. Okay? We know when. And they were fire. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. In them he, God, set a tabernacle for the sun, which is a bridegroom coming out of his chamber. What is the sun? Tabernacle for the sun, which is a bridegroom coming out of his chamber. Where have you heard that? And rejoices as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul, converting, transmutation. The testimony of the Lord is sure. Make wise the simple. Okay, here's his story. Let's go on. Isaiah chapter 40, 25. To whom will you compare me? Or who is my equal, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes and look to the heavens. Who created all these? He who brings out the starry host one by one and calls each of them by name. Because of his great power and mighty strength, not one of them is missing. Alright, so we got this throne, and the one that sits on the throne, and everything surrounds him, and it's the sun. It's the sun is a bridegroom sitting there in his coming out of his chamber. Alright, now we're going to get into some archaeology. Alright, we're going to start with some of these statues, and I'll show you what I began to notice. When you study a culture and their language, you have to get into their art, because that's where they spoke mostly. Most cultures were not educated until probably the last 100 years. I mean, women weren't even allowed to read. Now we read, write, and even produce videos. Alright, it's great. Moving on. Okay, these statues here. One, these pictures are not in order. I've tried to order them, and every time I do and put them in the folder, they rearrange themselves. So I'm just going to let the arrangement be, and I'm going to walk through them. And by the end of this, I hope you start to catch on to what I'm showing you. When I look at this picture, I see Baphomet. That's right. I know that's hard for you to see, but you'll start to understand symbology before I'm through. This is Aquarius and Capricorn. It's a man. He's got on a crown. You see the sign of Aquarius right there in the crown. He's sitting funny. His knees are up. And astrology for medicine or biology / astrology, Aries is the head, and Capricorn is the knees, and Aquarius is the shins. Why would anybody do a statue built like this? Well, I'm going to show them to you from all over the world, and some other ones as well. This is most people would think Gemini, or life and death, right? The crossing of the ages. I told you I believe the flood happened between Cancer and Gemini. And this is when the death happened, because it's the sun and the moon. The sun rules Cancer. Oh, please tell me I've got sound on this. The sun rules Cancer, and no, I said that back. I said this all wrong. This is Leo and Cancer, because Leo rules the sun and the moon is ruled by Cancer. Yeah, I got that right. Water and fire, battle of fire and ice. Again. And then the little symbols on their chest, the earth, all those pyramids, those symbolic things I showed you. This one's got less than a minute. I should probably skip over this one right now, but this is a woman. She's in a long dress, and she's got her foot on the lion. She's winged. That's telling you this is a heavenly age, 2 ages, between 2 ages. Leo was a masculine age, so again, the same thing we just saw, which is Cancer and fire and ice. Again, fire and ice, the battle of fire and ice. This happens 4 times in the zodiac. Okay, I'm going to stop this video, publish this here, and continue on the next picture, which will be the feathered serpent. Okay, which again is Scorpio and Libra.